This is just off of Highway 5, Interstate 5, along the coast here. And wow, they've got most of the beaches closed off unless you pay to get in. Even the just regular access beaches. It's pretty aggravating, actually. Really controlling access unless you pay to do it. There's a helicopter over there. You probably can't see it. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a military helicopter, but I really don't know for sure. It's just a little too far away. It flew in and is hovering over that pad out there, so it's probably a Marine Corps helicopter. We're not far from Pendleton. But if you've never seen a West Coast sunset, this is it. Show you the sun here. It's pretty bright. But there it is, and there's the ocean. Some tankers out there. I don't know if you can see them or not. And of course the ubiquitous seagulls. That's north, looking behind me there. That's up towards Dana Point, San Clemente. We're just south of San Clemente here. And down this way, of course, is San Diego, Oceanside, San Diego, and all of that. So look one more time here. That helicopter's still hovering over there. Looks like it's, well, I'm not sure what it's doing. It could be a pilot that's learning to fly, or it could be something else. I'm not really sure what they're doing. Yeah, up that way is San Clemente, Dana Point, Laguna Beach, and of course LA. So I'm here along Interstate 5. I just showed you the view north towards San Clemente, Dana Point, Los Angeles, Laguna Beach, all that, and then of course south towards San Diego. I thought I'd stop here. I know it's been a few days, over a week I think, since I've said anything on this Ebola thing. So you can consider this Ebola Series 3. And really, what can I tell you? If you've been paying attention, watching what's going on, the fact that there is no stoppage of flights from the infected countries. I guess we've had a couple of more cases, or at least possible cases, that they've talked about on the news. But we've also learned that there have been a number of cases that the feds have come in and declared it to be malaria and disappeared the patient. Now, I don't have any proof of that, but I have talked, or we have heard doctors on several broadcasts talking about this occurring. My doctor that I am familiar with, that I've used for some information, he does not have any personal knowledge of any of that, and he promised that he would give me that information if it happens where he is. Now, the problem that he has, of course, is that they're not ready for the level 4 containment. And I've already talked about that. Most hospitals are not. But most of the cases that we're hearing about, that where they're being whisked away, or that they're declaring that the cases are malaria, are principally back east in the south and in the Midwest. For some reason, we haven't heard about it in California. And this particular doctor is far north of where I am now, very far north. So at any rate, I guess, just to cut to the quick, what do I think is happening at this point? We've heard from Dr. Francis Boyle. You saw his information that I put in the description box on one of these videos, along with a lot of others, that this is not the same kind of strain that we saw in the 1970s. No news there. But the real news is that it does appear to be weaponized, and that it can tie itself to other viruses, or at least cause itself to be replicated on other viruses like different colds and flus. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't explain that in detail, but that's apparently the issue here. Malaria has some of the same symptoms of Ebola, but not in the advanced stages where you can actually get some real serious bleeding. That's a whole other issue altogether. We've got Marine Corps helicopters all the way around here. That's a Jolly Green Giant there, which you might know as a Chinook. So anyway, I think that's basically what I wanted to say at this point. Also, that there does appear to be some very strange things happening on the federal level. Of course, there always is. As I've said many times, they lie when the truth would benefit them more. And in this case, Obama has been saying that this has been a good thing because it'll get us ready for a really deadly virus. Well, as I've often said, and I've heard some other broadcasters talk about this, either before or after I said it doesn't matter, that these people's religion requires them to tell you what they're going to do to you, and if you don't stand up and say no, then they feel justified in doing it. Remember, they believe that they have a right to do this if you do not tell them no. Not that they wouldn't still do it, but they are under some curse restrictions from God Almighty that they have to do certain things. Now, whether you believe that or not really doesn't matter. The fact is they believe it, and that's the important part. So no new news here at this point. The doctor hasn't given me any other information. I think it's being covered very well in the alternative media by and large. The basic thing is here, of course, wash your hands, stay away from crowds, especially people that are sneezing, coughing, throwing up, things like that. It's best not to be in crowds, especially since now they're saying this thing is capable of being airborne in warm weather, which is kind of interesting, considering that it's, in cold weather, considering it's a tropical type of virus. But again, when you manipulate the genes in these viruses, you can make them do just about anything. I hesitated to say it before. I was calling it a genome-specific bioweapon. I'll just say it frankly, I think it's pretty obvious that it's been designed to target Negroes first. And that's, to target anyone is wrong, and for them to do this at all is wrong. But if you look at what Margaret Sanger said in the 20s and 30s, that time frame, and look at where Bill Gates comes from, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. Again, this is just the testing stage. Then, of course, once they get it perfected or they see how it reacts in the public at large, then they could start targeting more specific groups. People that have, the reason why I put that FunVax information on there, where they can actually affect a part of the brain with drugs that control your emotions, your desires for love and sex and those types of things, creativity. The reason why I brought that out is because they can manipulate these genes to attack people with the type of gene that helps that area of the brain to develop the way it does. Do you see what the problem is now? I didn't want to go there first because I'm hoping that you'll be able to draw some of your own conclusions, but the ideas of charity, of long-suffering, of love, of emotion, of sexual love, of attraction to the opposite sex, all that, if it's attacked by this virus, if that's used as the target for this virus to go after, you can see how they can eliminate with this virus people that have feelings. I mean, we could turn into 1984 virtually within 2 months, probably worldwide. Not a lot of information here because I don't want to repeat what's being said elsewhere, but I wanted you to know that I'm still looking at this. Yes, it is a bioweapon. Yes, it was released in Africa in the vaccines, most likely. And then makes people contagious. They are spreading it deliberately. You notice, Europe and Africa countries have closed their borders. Why not us? Is it just a political issue for the election? No, I don't think so. I think it's because Americans are stupid by and large, and they'll go along with anything that their government says. But you got to protect yourselves. So you might have to self-quarantine, okay? You might have to stay away from people, as I've said. Large amounts of vitamin C and D in sunlight, very important. Not that this thing dies in sunlight, but for you to help manufacture, your body to help manufacture the things you need. I've heard that there are some other compounds that can help you to produce the I guess it's the antibodies that will actually fight off Ebola. And I don't want to say what it is here because I don't want anybody to think I'm plagiarizing them. But look this thing up and really seriously start taking some things to make your immune system strong. Remember, that old saying, they knocked on so-and-so's door and took him, and I said nothing. They knocked on another guy's door, and I said nothing. Then they came for me, and there was nobody there. So I think you can see from this that I'm concerned that they've actually used AIDS and this Ebola thing to attack the Negro population, principally in Africa, which is the testing ground. Those are still people. I can't understand how we can treat people like this, but they justify it on all sorts of levels. But just because it's going there now doesn't mean that they aren't going to shift it to another group later, especially the ones that we've talked about so much. Christians, remember the fun vax, vets, constitutionalists, gun owners, people that are basically good. They are going to go after this. If you believe the scriptures at all, it says that. When I say scriptures, of course, I mean the Old and New Testaments. Not that that's a requirement by any means to figure out what's going on, but it sure gives us a lot of leads as to what's happening. All right, I'll get back with you again a little later. Had to wear a hat, and I was going to put my sunglasses on because the sun's right there, but I figured, well, okay, and the wind was blowing. I didn't want my hair to be all over the place, but to be a distraction. But then, of course, it quieted down, which is probably a good thing. All right, out here, we'll talk to you later.